Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. The story and journey of Shanin Blake, from believing she's an alien sent down from Earth and her soul is here to guide and save us, to then for some reason selling some sort of generic merch, to all sorts of nonsense really. The case of Shanin Blake has been one of interest, conversation, and speculation. I myself have now done a couple videos talking about Shanin and her actions online. But there is one thing I have always left out, and today we are finally going to discuss that. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce myself. If you're new here, my name is Cowder's Life, and on this channel we do video essays talking about things we see on the internet and then discussing them as a community down in the comment sections below. So if that sounds like fun for you, please feel free to subscribe. Yoo-hoo, we're trying to beat this hair-old ratio. And if you are new here, I swear I don't always I swear I don't always dress like a 2020 dance TikToker that's gonna do some like awful cringe thirst traps. In my head, I thought it was gonna be a really cool outfit because I put funny like SoundCloud-esque hat on Skog, so I was like, I'm gonna dress like a TikTok key person too, but now I just feel like incredibly cringe. And I can't lie, the weight of this necklace on my neck is making me uncomfortable, but hey, I'm gonna commit to the bit and keep it on, at least for most of the video, I hope. And if you're not new here, hello again friend, it's me, your boy Cow. How are you? Are you good? I'm good, I'm pretty tired, but otherwise good. Yeah, and when we're not discussing Shanin Blake at the end of this video, we'll be talking about my loyal companion, Mr. Bobo. Well, you will know him as Arcanine, but we'll be discussing Arcanine later. He's huge, and I can't wait to tell you all about him. Shanin Blake, let's discuss. Talking point 1, OnlyFans versus spiritual fulfillment. And I know we're probably all getting tense right now, being like, is Cal about to have like the most misogynistic, horrific, down bad take that's just going to be an absolute teapot man take, being like, ugh. Whoa, hold up your horses. There's a reason I haven't spoken about this in any of the Shanin Blake videos before, is because it actually requires a lot of thought and nuance and a moment to really sit and think on this discussion. But if you go into my comment section on my Shanin Blake videos or into Shanin Blake's comment section on her Instagram posts, there'll just be a lot of men being like, but you do OnlyFans, or she's made more money off me than she's made on her music career. Literally, these are comments I've seen, and it's just like, oh, lordy Lou, this is messy. This is a sticky situation. How do we navigate this? Well, team, I'm here to finally navigate this concept of OnlyFans and how that entwines with her personal brand. But basically, a thing people will point out on the internet is, how can Shanin, who like almost positions themselves as like this spiritually enlightened being, this starseed, something Shanin has actually referred to themselves as, they're sent here to, you know, save the day, make humanity better, only to then do OnlyFans. This is a thing I see people point out online. It's like, this cosmic being was sent here to maybe help enlighten us, much like she herself has enlightened herself, supposedly, and she's ended up doing OnlyFans. Not much enlightening going on there, some may argue. Just gooning. I couldn't think of another smart sounding word. Gooning. I'm trying to pivot out of saying gooning. Okay, anyways. OnlyFans, OF, I'm probably just going to call it OF for the rest of this video, is obviously a platform that typically monetizes sexual content. And when it's not, you know, the men being like, well, I've seen you on OnlyFans, there's other people from the spiritual community who have pointed out that if Shanin was truly spiritually fulfilled, she wouldn't engage in such a materialistic pursuit. And this is where we get onto something really interesting, or to me I found this very interesting, but the concept of spiritual materialism and its origins. The term spiritual materialism was popularized by a Buddhist teacher called Chogyam Trungpa. Trungpa used this term to describe ego's tendency to use spirituality for material gain or self-aggrandizement, which in practicality in like real everyday life basically means using spiritualness and spirituality as a source to boost one's ego or gain status, attain wealth, as opposed to for personal genuine growth or actual, dare I say, enlightenment. Zooey mama. So now that we throw spiritual materialism into the mix, could this allow us to comment or explore the concept of not just Shanin Blake's OnlyFans, but also the way she goes about conducting herself online with how she packages spiritualism as this very surface level thing. I suppose looking through the lens of someone that aligns himself with the concept of spiritual materialism, some may say Shanin's decision to create an OF profile is pretty questionable. If her spirituality, was genuinely her focus, some may argue, why would she feel the need to profit off of sexualized content? And this always points to a more broader, interesting concept of how a lot of modern day influencers, even ones that position themselves as spiritual characters, often blend genuine belief structures, pre-existing things that we can all know and attach ourselves to, and they align that or combine that with personal branding and material gain. So obviously an example of that in Shanin's lyrics is how she, sings about obtaining lots of money and lots of wealth and being able to do all these extravagant things. But at the same time, she combines that with elements of spirituality, things that people are drawn in by because they may resonate with that. But this is an example of someone that maybe perhaps, if we're still looking through that lens of spiritual materialism, isn't actually far into their spiritual journey. They're just claiming to be parts of these things on a superficial level for our own personal gain. And this isn't just a critique on Shanin, of course. I think it's very often in the modern day world, it's almost just it's a given that every aspect of human life is commodified, turned into a sellable product. And this isn't just localized to the OnlyFans, it's the merchandise, it's the paid content, it's the music they produce. How does this monetization of spirituality affect the credibility and depth of the message? And I think you can kind of see why I didn't speak about the whole OnlyFans thing to begin with, because I think it's a topic one has to approach with caution, because, I never want it to be I'm shaming Shanin for doing OnlyFans. No, there's millions of people, or not millions, but there's lots of people out there that do OnlyFans. Online, you see a lot of content creators who also produce content. They might be a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or whatever, or a TikToker, but they also do OnlyFans. So I really wanted to make the point clear that it was never about condemning them or being boo, hiss, boo, shame, and being one of those people in the comment section that are trying to weirdly shame Shanin for that. I was much more interested in the exploration of if one is this spiritual being who's come down to earth and all of this stuff, or they at least position themselves in a spiritual light and seem to be guided by this exploration of oneself. And you could say perhaps that, even the lyrics to do with being this alien sent down from earth were just lyrics, and we shouldn't take that too literally. But given that she does operate within this spiritual realm, it is interesting to analyze what one's motive would be to obtain such wealth and do things like OnlyFans. It's an interesting point for consideration. And obviously on a localized level, my opinion on this is, I don't care if Shanin or anyone chooses to do OnlyFans, really. I think if it's a legal operation and it's there, naturally people will want to explore that for personal gain, e.g. money. Now there's conversations one could have about the impact of how normalized OnlyFans is and, just the porn industry in general, and how that shapes people's attitudes and opinions on sex, on how they perceive, people's values in society. There's a very interesting conversation there to be had about that. But that isn't the conversation we're having today, as this is about the conversation of Shanin Blake and spirituality. And there's people in Shanin's comment sections, whether you go onto Instagram or any other social media platform she operates on, expressing their frustration and confusion about why she is turning her spiritual persona into a brand and selling it, and even packaging it onto places like OnlyFans. Should spiritual content be sexualized in that manner? Some claim it undermines the authenticity and the message she promotes. And I suppose that must be incredibly stressful or problematic for genuine people that are initially fans of Shanin who practice spirituality themselves, because they may want spiritual guidance, not commodified sexuality. And this brings us on to the second section of our final installment of exploring Shanin Blake and her entwinedness, or their lack of, with spirituality. Over the course of making videos on Shanin Blake, I've seen lots of comments on my videos of people far more in these worlds than I am, commenting their thoughts on the matter, and I think it's raised some really interesting points that should be discussed and explored. Talking point 2, followers' disillusionment and creepy comments. Many of Shanin's followers initially turned to Shanin for spiritual guidance. I feel in the world of going online and typing in spirituality or something along the lines of that nature, Shanin will come up and she's the most like easiestly accessible version or example into that world. Why? Because she doesn't actually challenge you to think and grow about your own persona and to develop your own mind and expansion. She's just there being like, I make $1 million, I'm on a private jet, life is great, you're great, we're all great. And it's almost like this face value. It's like the hippie version of, do you know in the Lego movie when they're like, everything is awesome, everything is cool when you're part of a team? Because who doesn't want to be part of a team? Who doesn't want everything to be awesome? Who doesn't want everything is cool when you're part of a team? Everything is awesome when we're living our dream. Because yes, everybody wants that. Everybody wants to feel good all the time and have a great time. The concept of being sold a concept within a concept, conceptception, but this concept of just being sold winning without having to do anything. Oh my goodness me, I want that, we all want that. I can see how so many get sucked in. Now the issue is, if you follow Shanin or actually kind of think and sit on her lyrics for a little bit, and I know some will say, as I always point out, it's affirmation music, but she also pits this as being a spiritual character, so she's now operating in the realms of spiritualism. So, you're intrigued by her being this alien soul, you're intrigued by her potentially offering you a signpost into this world and showing you the way. But then, the everything is awesome tune fades out and you're left in this empty space of emptiness because there's nothing of substance there. Oh, goodness no. What do you mean her concepts of being an alien soul and holistic lifestyle were just to secure the bag and you're not actually going to offer any guidance or insight into that world? Just vague ideas and very mainstream concepts of what it looks to be alternative. Oh, goodness me, Zooey mama. Oh no, but what if oh no, bad times, right? When this is what literally somebody commented on one of my videos. People are now really expressing their frustration that her content rarely, if ever, actually genuinely dives and offers some sort of substance into the realms of spiritual topics and themes that coexist within that landscape. The journey into spirituality and caring for oneself and how one conducts themselves in this life while you're in this big bag of skin and bones. Maybe topics of environmentalism and activism would come up. Whilst you're here and while you're this space creature that's come down to save the day, maybe you would offer some actual advice on how not only one could heal their own soul, but also help the world. Nah, it's Shanin. Shanin's not going to do that, team. I'm so sad to find out people are still buying this. I found her a year ago. I was 19, so very much in the age range she is targeting. I did like a few of her songs, but the advertising she was pushing on IG was putting me off. She was never speaking on political or environmental issues, and anything she did say was so empty and vague. It was very easy to see that this was a front with no substance underneath. I dropped her a month after I first followed her. It's honestly offensive seeing someone take the idea of spirituality and holistic living and turn it into the opposite of everything it stands for. These communities need to come together and push her out of the space. Ooh-wee, that's a toughie. And I kinda agree with it. Not that people shouldn't be able to operate and secure the bag, but you're securing the bag from ethically and morally questionable practices and activities, e.g. framing yourself as a spiritual person, and that's a thing that people will be drawn into, people that are curious of that world themselves, and not actually offering any guidance. It's that spiritual materialism concept coming back once again. I feel there's now this ever-growing real sense on the internet that Shanin's spiritual content is shallow, focused more on selling a concept of a lifestyle than actually addressing the deeper concerns of living in alignment with these supposed higher values that she kind of dances around and talks about in her songs. Cue that Everything is Awesome song. Everything is maybe not so awesome. Another type of comment of, people expressing their disillusionment, or kind of within that realm, is the unsatisfied creepy comments. So it's like the duality of unsatisfied commenters. You got one because they're spiritual beings, spiritual people, exploring spirituality. Say spirituality more. I swear I'm not trying to sell you a spirituality course. Mine would suck. Mine would just be like, be perpetually internally awkward and painfully self-aware at all times. Anyway, but this is the one type of commenter, the spiritual person that's annoyed that Shanin isn't actually championing anything in the spiritual world. She's not actually offering any guidance. She's just doing this all for profitable gain. And there's this other dissatisfied commenter, which is sadly just horny, creepy people that need like a spray. Stop. I know you have the ability to comment whatever you want on the internet, but sometimes you shouldn't. Sometimes we should keep thoughts to ourselves, and that is totally okay. Not everything needs to be said online. Stop. A disturbing aspect of Shanin Blake's social media presence is the overwhelming amount of creepy sexualized comments left typically by men. And this is like really obvious on her Instagram posts, by the way. These comments are often crude and objectifying, reducing Shanin to nothing more than a sexualized figure, rather than even attempting to engage with her supposed spiritual insights. And this really does create a really, really, really odd juxtaposition. Someone claiming higher spiritual knowledge, but attracting an audience that clearly does not value or engage with her in that way. This is an uncomfortable one, right? And this disconnect really does present a broader issue, where particularly women online are objectified regardless of the content they produce. You'll see this all across the board. Fitness influencers, just like comedy stand-up people on TikTok, or the obvious one is like people in subcultures. But regardless of like the field women have chosen to operate in, boom, creepy dudes in the comment section perceiving them in odd manners. Sometimes, like I said, thoughts are best kept in your head. And I suppose with Shanin, her decision, to create OnlyFans content will amplify this tenfold, unfortunately. That demographic really do not care about her message she may be trying to send out in her songs, her supposed message. They only want one thing. Another really interesting talking point I see surrounding Shanin in comment sections, I've seen this a few times now, is Shanin's cult-like behaviors and audience manipulation. This is talking point 3. Yoo-hoo! Shanin Blake's self-identification as this starseed, this higher being, is a key part of her persona that she explores and talks about online, on the internet, www.theinternet.com. Yes. But this often also raises concerns of cult-like behaviors. And the reasons people put forward for this are when somebody positions themselves at the top of the hierarchy. So the hierarchy, picture this triangle. This is where Shanin and her followers will be getting excited. Does somebody say, triangles, pyramids, are we going to teleport? No, you bunch of racist hooligans. Anyway, but position the triangle, and Shanin places herself on top of that row, and there's a displacement of power. So Shanin has all of the power, as she's this starseed special alien sent down from Earth. Funny that, isn't it? How the TikTok singer is also somehow this special alien. It's almost like she just needed a USP, a unique selling point for her marketing campaign. Anyways, as she does position herself in this position of superiority, it does open the door to manipulation. Instead of creating a level playing field, it's, I've been learning things from the No, you haven't, Shanin. You've had too much time on Google and on weird forums where nobody actually has their credentials checked. And the followers who genuinely believe that Shanin does possess unique or divine knowledge. And I'm sorry, I'm just smiling at the concept of Shanin actually having divine knowledge and me not. You're a hater, cow. Yeah, I am. If somebody has divine knowledge and I don't, clearly I'm gonna be annoyed. And especially if it's Shanin Blake, the person that made this merch. It's so silly. But people that generally do believe this are more likely to buy into her content. Clearly, this is just putting the dots together. And whether it's her spiritual teachings or her merchandise or paying for her VIP content or maybe even supporting the OnlyFans as another form of spiritual awakening. I don't know how it works. It creates some sort of odd, dangerous power dynamics. In these situations where you're dealing with such specialized, niched, focused communities, whilst also being just like mainstream corporate idea of being alternative, but because you are attaching yourself to these themes and these people from these subcultures will get excited and they'll be like, it's in the mainstream, look, a person for us or whatever. That influencer then wields an unholy amount of power and significance amongst their followers. Shannon's followers may believe that by subscribing to her content and supporting her in every outlet they can, they themselves are somehow gaining access to higher power and knowledge and spiritual enlightenment when you're actually just getting some fast fashion crap from the internet. Like, I remember in one comment section I saw someone being like, okay, but are the, clothes ethically sourced? Are they well produced? And someone commented back, maybe she can do that for the next drop. Surely the spiritual person should make sure everything's morally and ethically sound with their output, right? No, but maybe for the next drop. Why are you so much care? Why are you so much care? But why do you care about someone that clearly is just here for the bag? I know it may be presented as a very easily packageable way in spirituality, but there's nothing of depth there, my friend. You will not find your answers to enlightenment or self-guidance through these lyrics. Wee woo. Gosh darn it. But this dynamic that we're talking about with Shanin Blake really does mimic the dynamic you see with cult leaders, where leaders convince their followers to surrender their money, their autonomy, in exchange for spiritual enlightenment or guidance or to be part of the family. The family. I don't like any of this. I like everything to be on an equal playing field at all times. Yes. Good guy. I just realized I just played back what I said in my head and now I just sound like a pick me, choose me. Don't worry, I'm not gonna start making spiritual content. I would be bad at it. I don't want to be anyone's guide in this life. I'm very much desperately clawing my way through life myself. I don't want a following for being a leader of anything. I just want to do my own thing. And yeah, that's what this is. But the thing that I think is actually really wickedy whack, and I don't like that about all of this, is it's exploitative. It's exploitative. Exploiting people for financial gain. Now, I don't like that. That's pretty messed up. By positioning herself as this, like I said, superior higher being sent down to earth. Ha! The mist descends. Shanin Blake comes in to sell you some gosh awful merch and make some songs about how she's really rich and pyramids be time traveling. What a disappointment if aliens do come down and it is just Shanin Blake being like, I made $1 million bucks. I'd be like, come on. But by positioning herself as this person, she really can manipulate her followers to buy into her personal brand and, give her money. And, vulnerable souls that are looking for guidance and stuff, they're the ones that are affected by this. Not, you or I that are slightly clowning on the situation or whatever, because we're joking around, but some people will be drawn in and sucked in by it, and that's a shame. That's not good. That's sad, especially for younger followers who may feel the need or the want to impersonate or replicate what they're seeing Shanin doing. As they may not have as much life experience, so they're less likely to critically evaluate her claims and the products she chooses to sell. And I don't like that. I don't know why I'm turning into some sort of motivational substitute teacher. I keep being in my substitute teacher era in my videos where I just feel like I'm just, hey gang, let's get together. I'm not trying to be. Maybe I'm just being the spiritual guide to myself that I would have always wanted. I don't know. Where am I going with this? This whole thing is silly, and not silly haha, silly weird. Yeah, and that kind of brings us on to talking point 4, and I'm running out of fingers, so I should speed this one along. Commercialization of New Age spirituality. One criticism I've seen time and time again in my comment section is Shanin Blake is just the latest in a long line of individuals who have capitalized on New Age spirituality for personal gain. Gosh, gasp, shock and horror. No, for real, this is not cool and swag. I don't know why I chose to deliver that like that. Sorry. But this trend has been prevalent in the spiritual and wellness community for like decades now, where concepts like these big buzzwords like mindfulness, energy healing, and alternative lifestyles are often packaged and simplified into sellable products at real high markups in the form of crystals, to like courses, to like, can I think of another C word? Cards, spiritual cards. I think I've even brought spiritual cards once. I was once a really lost soul. I don't know if I give off that vibe, but I really was. Luckily, I didn't make content about it. But the modern commercialization of New Age spirituality is like $1 billion industry. It's large, it's grande. It's like when you go to the coffee shop, you order the biggest one. It's Miss Thickness. She ain't missing no meals. Come for a ride in my automobile. It's big. It's heavy. It's something you can grab. So I pulled up in the Jag and I hit him with a jab like dun 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 dun. My anaconda. Anyways, this is not karaoke. This is me actually trying to explain to you why this is problematic. I don't know why I'm being so obtuse. This industry just feels so disingenuine in the mainstream now, as its spiritual beliefs, genuine fundamentals to people's lives, being sold to them as it's being commodified, and these people are just seeking for guidance in their own lives. This isn't a fair exchange of energy. This isn't just like a content creator doing an ad read in their videos for like some game or something, where it's just like, play this game, it's pretty fun, I like it. You know, you have the full choice to play the game if you think the advert was good or not. It's not really that deep. But when you put actual like emotional importance on things and package it and sell it, do these people just not feel conflicted? Like, this would hurt my heart. And rightfully so. This trend of content creators doing this has been criticized for turning these deeply personal and transformative practices into superficial consumerist endeavors. But Shanin Blake really does fit this narrative of just packaging New Age spirituality, this vague concept a lot of people have, and selling it. Spirituality as a brand which is to be marketed rather than an authentic path to enlightenment. Like, no one's getting enlightened off of any of this, Shanin. Imagine if I eat my words and someone actually does experience enlightenment through Shanin Blake's content. That would suck. The video would go crazy, though. Hey, game's a game. But this is a real issue, and I've genuinely been caught up in this myself. Like as I said earlier, I used to be a real lost soul, and I did explore spirituality and New Age spirituality, certainly. I brought so much consumerized just junk to try and make myself feel better and feel more whole. And did it kind of help a little bit on a superficial level? Yeah, there's lots of things that I still, do now to help me feel a little bit better. But I definitely was sold a lot of commercialized mainstream crap just because I saw it on the internet. I thought, yeah, they totally look like they know what they're talking about because they look like they stink. So I'm going to trust them. And I regret doing that. I was far better going to actually just local independent crystal shops and such and actually just picking the brains of the store owners, which I'm sure they didn't appreciate, like this young man who was clearly in some sort of distress just asking like 50 billion questions on the subject, because that's what I do. When I'm interested about something, I ask questions and questions. But hey, we're here now, and now we're making videos on Shanin Blake. So I think that's progression. But this problem was here before Shanin. It'll be after Shanin. There will always be people who will take advantage of those seeking help and seeking guidance and profiting off of it. The same way big corporations profit off of, the punk aesthetic or the goth aesthetic. They know there's people there that want to join those worlds and they don't have all of the information and answers of how to get into it, so they're sold this easy solution. Fast fashion punk outfit, or in this case, it's these simple solutions to spirituality, so it gives you this feeling like you're part of that community without actually doing it. But through Shanin's music, it's this very surface level, easy going, happy-go-lucky, skipping down the road journey into it without actually ever having to challenge and grow within yourself. It's just these positive buzzwords you see time and time again in her songs, in her posts, without actually any depth of how to do that yourself. Surface level spiritual teachings with little depth or accountability. Authenticity? See you later, hey, right, Scoggy? Yeah, that thing's long gone. We're just here to secure the bag. That's not me saying we're here to secure the bag. I mean, we are. YouTube does pay us to make these videos, but at least we're not trying to sell you some higher learning thing. We're better, right, guys? Smash like if you think we're more ethically sound than Shanin Blake. The bar is low. This is the future now. Me pitting myself against some sort of fake spiritual teacher on the internet. But yeah, no, this commercialization of spirituality is super whack and it took advantage of me when I was a young, vulnerable soul. So that's probably why I'm so passionate about the whole thing. And I've turned this into a 3-part saga. The other common I've seen in my videos now that I want to, draw attention to is cultural appropriation allegations. People like this user have pointed out Shanin has real bleached blonde hair, but then also has clip-on locks that she looks like she's decided to bleach blonde. Ooh, is this an interesting one? When big TikTok influencer, when person that gets lots of views and lots of likes and engagements from mainstream normies and people because they look like the commercialized concept of being alternative and hippie without actually acknowledging all the marginalized communities she has taken from to create this pseudo aesthetic of spirituality. Oh, we like her, but do we actually want to take notice of the actual marginalized communities she takes from in terms of not only looks but also spiritual knowledge? No way. I just want the easily digestible fake bleached hair hippie. Yes please. This is the issue here. Shanin choosing to have these bleached blonde clip-on locks demonstrates a severe lack of understanding and critical thought. Can someone please just take Shanin on a cultural awareness course? It would do her wonders. Locks are not just a hairstyle. They carry deep historical meaning. And many marginalized communities face real big discrimination for having locks, for actually naturally having themselves real locks and not just clip-on ones that they got from like some fast fashion store. And this is the issue. When this girl does it, this mainstream commercialized white woman concept does hippie, it's cool, it's so likable, it's so, oh wow, I just want to be like her, she's so inspiring. But when you take all the attributes from what Shanin got her character from, they never received this popular response that Shanin has. Shanin's just the marketable byproduct that mainstream want to use to profit off of all these marginalized communities. Oh goodness no. And by Shanin choosing to adopt this look without actually engaging in the conversation of lock's significance, it clearly shows that Shanin is appropriating an aesthetic that she doesn't belong to culturally. And what makes this more problematic in Shanin's case is because she is this self-proclaimed spiritual guide, she herself has this amazing platform to address these issues and have conversations about locks and hairstyles and where she gets all of her inspiration from for her spiritual practices and how she chooses to conduct herself. But she does not. She doesn't actually use her platform for any form of education or critical thought or cultural well-being or cultural spread. It's not. It's just a take party. And cultural appropriation is a significant issue in spiritual spaces, where a lot of white spiritual influencers often adopt practices or aesthetics from marginalized communities while completely avoiding the associated politics or struggles. By refusing to engage with this conversation, Shanin Blake not only just perpetuates this issue even more, but also signals to her audience that these things don't matter. And that is a shame, because they do matter. And this is really because spiritual influencers, whether they want it or not, the moment you step into that realm and you have a say on how people go about their life and you're clinging on to personal importance that people may have, you have a real ethical responsibility to be aware of the cultural and historical context of practices and aesthetics they choose to adopt. So by ignoring the problematic nature of her clip-on locks, Shanin Blake is contributing to a larger problem in the spiritual and well-being industries, where this cultural appropriation is just rampant. And what this will do is it will just create this real disengaged audience about spirituality. The ones that follow Shanin just want this easy answer idea to spirituality. It's like spirituality for dummies. Just sing everything is awesome, everything is cool when you're part of a team, and somehow you end up being this cosmic alien sent down to Earth to save the day. Ugh. Instead of actual people that want to engage in spiritual practice that actually critically think. People that are actually interested in spiritual and holistic practices will not be going to Shanin Blake. Shanin Blake is to the spiritual community what... I actually don't have a good example here. Oh, this is awkward. But basically, she's just the commercialized obvious answer, which isn't actually useful or good. I was going to say hot topic is to the alternative community, but then I instantly felt bad because it's fine. I don't know if I have an issue with Hot Topic. I don't know. I feel bad now making that joke. But Shanin Blake is just the easy answer to a very complex question. And it's not a good answer. It's a take without critically thinking. And that will not help you on your spiritual path, my friend. Trust me, I would know. I looked for so many easy answers to complex questions, and it takes a long journey of finding yourself and looking out the window deeply. I'm joking. I'm just trying to make light of this horrific situation. It's weird. Shanin Blake is one problematic character, and this is the final installment of our documentary into her, the complex character of Shanin Blake. And with that, we shall now conclude, and I will, for the last time ever, probably, unless there's something of note I need to talk about with Shanin, pass on the conversation of Shanin Blake over to the comment section one last time, unless something interesting happens. But I doubt it will. I'll probably just go down this path now until she just stops uploading. Shanin Blake really just does embody the complex duality of modern day social media influencers. She presents herself as a spiritually enlightened being, but much of her behavior suggests that she truly is just only interested in financial gain. And this contradiction has left many of her followers disillusioned. But, some remain loyal. So if you want an army of white people wearing clip-on locks, I guess you're going the right way about it, Shanin. Or, sadly vulnerable people that need simple answers to complex questions. I think you'll also probably amass them, sadly. And that hurts. That's sad to think of. Anyway, the floor's been passed to you. And now, team, now the moment you've been waiting for. Wee woo, more Counters Live floor. Now I tell you about my boy Arcanine and the significant role he plays in my house as a livestock guardian. This very large, big man is Arcanine, but I named him Mr. Bobo. And the story behind him is actually really interesting. He's the only other person in the house that has bigger paws than Skog. And how I came into possession of Mr. Bobo, who is huge, is he was a gift from a YouTuber I used to edit for called Calyx, a lovely man, real sweet guy. I worked with him for years. Anyway, he got me this for my birthday present one year because he knows I'm obsessed with Pokemon. And it's one of those Jumbo XL plushies on the Pokemon Center. And I kid you not, Mr. Bobo is huge. And I'm very lucky for this gift. It was awesome. It made me so happy. But the lore of Mr. Bobo in my house is one of fascination and interest. Basically, when I got Mr. Bobo, I was very interested in the concept of livestock guardians. So a livestock guardian is basically a big dog, typically, that guards all the livestock animals on a farm. So what I did is when I brought Mr. Bobo home, I put him on the ottoman at the end of my bed. Didn't I, Mr. Bobo? And he sits there, and I made it like the canonical lore in my house that he's my livestock guardian, which when people come around, they're like, Cal, why do you as a grown man have a livestock guardian? Sorry, I've got loads of his hair in my mouth. Have a livestock guardian that's a plushy Arcanine. And I say, well, it's the lore. Mr. Bobo not only protects all the livestock in the house, so all the FNAF figures, all the Bionicles, they even protect Skog when Skog's making SoundCloud music now, apparently. He also protects me, and I feel safe having Mr. Bobo stare at me whilst I sleep. I feel safer knowing he's there. And also, to thicken the lore of Mr. Bobo, he actually is always wearing his hat. I must try and show them your hat, Mr. Bobo, but you're so large, it's quite hard. So he always wears this hat, okay? Oh, this is a mess. This is why Mr. Bobo stays upstairs. He wears this hat, this lovely hat. And one time my friend came around and put these horns up on the hat. I don't know if you can see. They put these horns up, and when you put the horns up on Mr. Bobo, I got so much of his hair in my mouth. He's now called Cheeky Mr. Bobo. And then when he's got these up, canonically, he becomes this really mischievous character that does pranks and tricks. So you got to watch out for when those horns go up. So I always keep them down because I don't have time to deal with that sort of cheeky energy. I'm quite a chill, docile guy. So that is Mr. Bobo, and I love him so much, and he will continue to now watch me sleep for the rest of my life. I will bring him to every house I live in, and he will always be at the end of my bed on an ottoman or something. I will just buy one to make sure I always have him there. So that's life, I suppose. Anyways, that's Mr. Bobo, who I love and adore, and I hope you love and adore, because it was a big faff getting you down those stairs, wasn't it, Mr. Bobo? Yep, that's my livestock guardian, that's Mr. Bobo. I will see you all in the next video. Spirituality, hey, what's up with that? Mr. Bobo, don't try and sell them spirituality. Oh, that's very sad. It kind of sounds like Skog. Big creatures I just give that voice to. but he's a great guy and he's got really healthy paws. And I would show you his paws, but you're so big, Mr. Bobo, and my mic's there. I don't think I can move you. So I actually don't know how I'm gonna move and turn this thing off. Maybe I just maybe this is my life now. Maybe I'm a live streamer. No, I've been your boy Cowder's Live. This has been your boy Mr. Bobo. Skog's up there in his SoundCloud era. He's about to make the craziest hyperpop album ever. I look like I'm gonna do terrible thirst trap dances on 2020 TikTok. I'm sorry about that. We learn and make mistakes as a team publicly now, apparently, on the internet. So we'll see you in the next video. Okay, there'll be another video essay, I don't know, on Mr. Bobo's nose. And yeah, I guess now it's time to say goodbye and try and work out how I'm going to get all of this stuff off me. Okay, bye. No, seriously, how do we... Okay, Mr. Bobo, move. Oh, God, this is awkward.